The room was quiet except for the soft clicking of the keyboard as Hector typed. Outside, the evening sky faded into dusk, painting the world in muted blues and purples. He didn't notice any of it, though. His eyes were locked on the screen, a glow that felt like it was the only real thing in the world. He had been sitting there for hours, lost in the endless rabbit hole of forums, videos, and articles, all promising the same thing: the truth about the world. The truth about the system that controlled everything. But the deeper Hector went, the more questions he had. His heart pounded as he clicked through another link, another theory, another supposed answer. Is the world real? It was the question that had been gnawing at him for months, maybe longer. It wasn't the kind of thing that came up during a casual conversation at school, or when he was hanging out with his friends by the old gas station in town. The kind of question that made people uncomfortable. The kind of question that got you labeled as a conspiracy theorist, or worse, a dreamer. But Hector didn't care. He couldn't stop himself. There was something inside him, a feeling that couldn't be ignored anymore, that told him this world wasn't what it seemed, that there was something more, and maybe, just maybe, he could break free of it. Hector was 16, living in a small town just outside the city. The kind of place where everyone knew everyone, where nothing much ever happened, and where the world felt small. A town where people worked at the factory or at the local diner, and dreams were limited to what could be done in the comfort of your own small house or backyard. He had always felt like an outsider here, like he didn't fit the mold. He didn't care about sports, didn't care about the latest trends. He didn't care about getting into the right college. What Hector cared about was understanding how the world worked. How could it be so perfect, so orderly? How could it all function like a machine, so predictably, day in and day out? The same faces, the same events, the same conversations. Was it real? Or was there something else going on? His parents didn't believe in him. They didn't understand. "Stop with all this nonsense, Hector," his mom would say. "You're just overthinking it. You need to focus on your future. Get good grades, get a job, go to college, just like everyone else." His dad was no better. The world isn't some big conspiracy, kid. Life's not about finding some grand truth. You're just being dramatic. But Hector knew. Deep down, he knew something wasn't right. Maybe it was the way the world felt so automated, the way it moved with such precision, like a machine running on autopilot. Maybe it was how people were so predictable. He had tried at first to talk to his friends about it, but they just laughed it off, rolled their eyes, and talked about things that seemed small in comparison. "You're just weird, man," his friend Jake had said, taking a drag from his cigarette and grinning. "The world is what it is. Just live in it." But Hector couldn't do that. Not anymore. Tonight was different. It had to be. He was sitting in his room, his laptop open in front of him, the cool blue light illuminating his face. His room was small, just like the town. One bed, a desk cluttered with papers and books, a shelf with a few action figures and old comic books. Nothing that said he was special. Nothing that stood out. He clicked on a video titled "How to Escape the Matrix," the ultimate guide, and watched as a man with an unkempt beard and wild eyes spoke to the camera. "It's all a lie," the man said, his voice intense. "The world we live in, everything we see, it's all a simulation. They want you to believe it's real, but it's not. It's an illusion designed to keep you trapped. You are the only one who can break free." Hector's pulse quickened. This was what he had been searching for. The words hit him like a spark to dry tinder, igniting something inside him. The man went on to explain how people could break free from the simulation. The key, he said, was understanding that the world wasn't as real as it seemed. It was all just an illusion, a game, a set of rules that could be bent or broken. The only way to break free was to start thinking differently, to see the cracks in the system, to question everything. Hector turned off the video, his mind racing. He had to try it. He had to break out of this. He wasn't like everyone else. He could feel it in his bones. But then doubt crept in. What if I'm just crazy? He thought. Asterisk, what if I'm wrong? What if everyone else is right, and I'm just some kid with too much time on his hands? Asterisk. He shook his head, trying to push the doubt away. He had to keep going. He couldn't stop now. He stood up and paced around his room, thinking. What if the world was just a simulation? What if it was all a game, designed to keep him in line, to keep him from questioning. How could he break out of it? How could he see beyond what everyone else saw? He stared at his reflection in the window, his face barely visible in the dim light. His eyes looked back at him, full of uncertainty, but also a flicker of something else. Determination. He couldn't just keep living like everyone else. He couldn't keep pretending that everything was normal. He had to find out what was real. And if he had to do it alone, if no one else understood, then so be it. It was him versus him. Hector returned to his desk, opened the laptop again, and typed into the search bar, "How to break the code of the universe." He clicked on the first result, a long, rambling article about quantum physics and the nature of reality. The more he read, the more the pieces started to fall into place. There were hints in everything if you knew where to look. The world wasn't solid. It wasn't unchanging. It was flexible, malleable like a computer program, just waiting for someone to rewrite it. He felt a thrill rise in his chest. He was starting to understand. He wasn't crazy. The world wasn't what it seemed, and he was going to find a way out. He had to. But then the doubt whispered again, like a shadow in the corner of his mind. Asterisk, what if you can't? What if you're wrong? What if you're just a kid lost in a fantasy? Asterisk. Hector closed his eyes, pushing the thoughts away. He had heard those doubts before, but tonight, he wouldn't let them win. He wasn't just trying to escape the world around him. He was trying to escape himself, the version of him that was too scared to believe in something more. The version of him that listened to everyone else, that accepted things without questioning them. Hector opened his eyes, staring at the screen in front of him. This was the beginning. He didn't have all the answers yet, but he didn't need to. He was going to keep digging, keep searching for the truth, no matter how long it took. He took a deep breath, stood up, and walked to the window. The night was quiet, the stars distant and cold. But for Hector, the world had already started to shift.